Today's daily recap is for BTG, Beyond the Gates, is for Monday, March the 17th, 2025. You know what? Not too much happened today, everybody, but let's dive right in on this. Oh, Ashley, I was happy. She gave Andre what for? Oh, no. She told him because she goes, what are you doing and why? And he goes, well, I guess I have bad impulse control. She goes, oh, that was definitely a bad impulse. And she goes, you know that Derek and I are together. You know I love him. You've been around us. There is no excuse for what you tried to do. And he goes, but look, it didn't happen. So look, and he's like, since it didn't happen, she goes, was good it didn't happen. And realistically, it wasn't. Andre is making it like he stopped it. He didn't stop it. She did, right? And so she goes, "No, Andre, and this is so unacceptable." Mm-mm. And now that I know you have bad impulse control, then we really are going to have to kind of, rethink our closeness here because I'm not about to disrespect Derek. And he goes, no, I apologize. I overstepped, and it won't happen again. And takes his camera or whatever, and he goes to the elevator looking. I said no, and she's just looking at him like I don't believe what you trying to do, right? And thank goodness I wanted to see that reaction from her. I didn't want to see the reaction of what that kiss would have been like. Man, he's good looking. I've known him for a while because he's Andre and her know each other probably from the period where, excuse me, he was being raised by or he lived with Ted and Nicole when his parents were killed in the plane crash, right? Because when he first came back to town, when he stopped at the nurse's station, she said, "Hey, stranger, where you been, Andre?" Yeah, she knows him, and she probably also knows he's a womanizer, but she's not interested in him. They never had nothing going on or even partially going on back then. So anyway, Derek came wheeling in his wheelchair around the nurse's station, and he's saying he's been released and he's so happy and blah blah blah. So she ends up taking him to her place to help him recuperate, right? So she ends up giving him a near beer and he drinks it, but she goes, if you really don't like it, I'll go get you a real beer. And he goes, this is fine, Ashley. He goes, what I really need is what's right here. So of course they start making out. um but anyway, Andre has to go by to see his aunt Danny, but his aunt Nicole, his aunt Nicole. So but before he gets there, Nicole comes in, and Eva is looking at the place setting that Kat had for her dinner date. And Kat just left the plates and just everything there. And so she hears Nicole coming in, Eva, and she pretended like she's cleaning up. And she goes, Eva, what are you doing? She goes, oh, well, I wanted to finish up some stuff at work and I was getting ready to go. And then I see Kat had a dinner guest over, and I see they just left everything here. So I was just cleaning up because I didn't want you to have to deal with this. And she goes, it is not your job to clean up after my adult daughter. She goes, no, but it's my job to make your life easier. So she goes, look, put that down because I've got something else I want you to work on. And she goes, okay, what? She tells her, okay, I need you to find out information on a Sherry. She was a server at my event last night, and I need to get information on her. And she's like, okay, is that Sherry with two R's or one? And she goes, I don't, well, she goes, two R's. She says, and the only way I know it's two R's is I read her name badge last night, but I don't know her last name. And I want to try to find her. So she goes, okay, I'll get on it. I'll call the hotel. I mean, yeah, the club, country club. So she goes into the room, and Ted had heard her giving Eva the instructions. And he's like, okay, Nicole, why are you trying to look for her? And she goes, because it's not a coincidence that she was a server at my banquet. And Ted said, exactly, Eva. I mean, exactly, Nicole. It's no coincidence. For some reason, she called you up to that rooftop. And she happens to be a server. No, it's not adding up. And she went out of her way to come and talk to you at the table. She goes, something isn't right with her, Nicole. And I need you to stay away from her. Don't even look for her. And she looked at Ted and she goes, excuse me, but why are you trying to tell me what to do? Right? Now, mind you, Eva's eavesdropping because Eva, for one, don't want to get that information, but she's acting like she does. So he goes, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to impress upon you that I think something isn't right with her and you need to stay away from her. She goes, something isn't right with her. She was up on a roof trying to jump, and now I find she's, took a job coincidentally for my banquet. She says, no, I think it's a sign for help. She needs help, Ted. And he goes, okay, she might need help. I'm not disagreeing with you there. But you should not be the one treating her for you should not, because something isn't right. And so she goes, you might be right about that I should not be the one treating her. But maybe you're right. Maybe you are right, right? So Nicole, the next time they come back, Nicole's not in the room and Eva is getting ready to leave. And Ted says, oh, Nicole says you don't need to find out any information anymore on this server that was shared. Oh, because Eva came out while Ted and Nicole were talking, and she goes, the assistant said the manager of the servers had gone home for the day, and she can't get into his system to get the information. But she was going to try to call him at home, and if she got anything, she would call back. And so Nicole says, thank you very much, Eva. You can go for the day. She goes, I was kind of wanting to hang around just for a bit to see if she calls. So Nicole says, she goes, there's a little work I need to do. I could do anyway. So Nicole's like, fine. So she goes into Nicole's office. And that's when Ted has the conversation with Nicole. Um, but actually, no. Andre shows up. Andre shows up after Ted what he had to say. Eva came out and gave up the update about the manager going home. Andre's standing there. And so Ted is just looking at Ted, says, you know what? And his phone rings. I got to go take this call. So Ted leaves the room. Eva leaves the room into Nicole's office. And Nicole looks at Andre because he says, oh, I came by to bring you these pictures from the banquet last night. And she goes, I thought you were going to have a courier deliver them. He says, yeah, but then I realized I was going to be in the neighborhood. So I thought I would drop them by. And Nicole says, oh, because she's thinking, this is a private gated community. You're not just in this neighborhood unless you're visiting a Dupree, you know. So who you visiting, right? But anyway, she says, okay, Andre, your Uncle Ted's out the room. Eva's gone. It's just you and I. Why are you really here? And he goes, oh, I told you Aunt Nicole to be. He goes, no, Andre, you talking to me. You know I can read you. And then he ends up telling her about his infatuation with Ashley. And she's like, wait, Ashley? Our nurse Ashley? And he's like, yeah, I don't know why, but I'm attracted to her. And she looked at him and she says, Andre, you know, Ashley and Derek are head over heels in love with each other. I thought they were fiance, but they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Uh, they're head over heels in love with each other. And she looked at him, she goes, I know you know this because you've been around them. And he goes, I know. And I don't usually go after people who are involved with other people. I don't know, why I'm feeling this way now about Ashley, because when we were around each other from before, we were just friends. I never even thought of her in that way at all. But for some reason, because she's with somebody now, fool, that's why. Because see, you see her as a conquest, something you could take away from somebody else. That's what that's all about, right? So Nicole says, well, under no uncertain terms is that okay. And he goes, Ashley made it plain, that she, didn't think of me that way. She goes, good. Now you respect that, right? And he goes, I will, Aunt Nicole. So he ends up, thank you for the wise words or whatever, and he leaves. But yeah, whatever. So anyway, let's go to Danny. Danny and her friend, ex Dixie, clean up Bill and Haley. Now Danny wakes up drunk from a drunken stupor on the couch. First thing she does is reach for the empty bottle, trying to see what's something in it, and it wasn't. And then she starts looking around. And she's like, wait a minute. This place is a mess here. Wait a minute. How long have I been here? Right? She calls her friend. Her friend comes over. She told her to bring that same vintage bottle of wine or champagne or whatever it was. I think it was wine. And her friend got it. And she told her to bring uh, another picture frame because she broke the other one with the wedding picture inside. So she comes through. They're cleaning up. She shows her the picture frame, and Danny's like, this is not the right picture frame. And so her friend said, we don't need a new picture frame. Danny, you broke the glass, not the picture frame. We're going to take the glass out of this one and put it in the other one. She goes, oh. And then with the same vintage, the label looked the same, and they were just going to tie a bow on it. But the bow was actually a different ribbon and everything. I'm surprised they didn't take the bow from the original one and just put it over there on that. So they straighten up, and Bill and Haley end up getting home. Now they were stuck in all kind of traffic, and it was going to take them hours. So Bill calls in a favor to a friend that he had did a case for in that county coming up, and she goes, what's happening? He goes, we're getting off 2 exits down. And she goes, what's 2 exits down? She goes, there's going to be a helicopter waiting for us, and it's going to fly us all the way home. And she's like, what, baby? I'm thinking, why didn't you rent a helicopter to fly you from New York to Maryland, right? Why didn't you just do that from the jump, Bill? But anyway, so they get home, walk in the door, and Bill's like, that's odd. I could have swore I armed the security alarm, and it's off. And she goes, well, maybe you, honey, baby, we were leaving. You probably so comfortable. We're in a gated community. I'm sure it's all good. So Danny leaves the room, and all of a sudden you hear this, oh no. And she comes in. He goes, what's wrong? What's wrong, Haley? I may have called her Nicole a minute ago. What's wrong, Haley? And she goes, Something's not right here. This picture frame. I could have sworn I left it over there, but I found it over here on the mantle of the fireplace. I didn't leave that there. And he goes, well, maybe you did and you just forgot. And she goes, and look, when you look closely, Bill, the photo in the frame looks damaged. You see that gash in there? And he goes, well, Haley, baby, the only way that could have happened is if glass would have scratched it, and this glass is intact. And she goes, So he goes, look, come on, let's have a bottle of this great wine or champagne or whatever, vintage year. I think it was wine. And so he's getting ready to pour it, to open and pour. Haley, look, she goes, okay, now I know something's wrong. And he's like, what? She goes, that's not the bottle of wine that you bought for me. And he says, wait, what? It is this. She goes, no, you had it privately engraved or inscribed on the back of the bottle. And it was specific for me and you. It meant something for us. And he looked at it, he goes, yeah, wait a minute. It isn't here. So then they look at each other. She goes, somebody been in our house, Bill. And they look at each other. They go, Danny. And boy, the B word was flying today. And so she goes, that witch would it be? And he goes, oh, I'm going to find Danny and I'm going to let her have it. She goes, no, no, you're not. Danny that B is mine. I'm going to handle her. So Haley goes over to Danny's house and she's at this, it's a glass door, so it's off her kitchen, right? To me, Danny's house is not that nice. I mean, it's not mansion like the one Bill bought Haley. It's mediocre to me. It really is. It should be nicer, you would think. And so Danny sees her, and her and Dan, before she got there, Danny and her friend Danny was drinking water and they were saying, yeah, they got it all cleaned up and nobody will even know she was there. And she goes, well, look, if they find out, I was never with you. Don't put my name in it. She goes, I would never. Yes, you would. Right. And so she goes, so let's hope. She goes, because, ooh, I don't want her to find out. And she goes, what, Haley? She goes, no, Anita Dupree. I could care less about Bill and Haley. See? It's Anita I'm worried about. So Haley, she sees Haley at her door through the glass panes. Haley just turns the knob and walks into her house. And Danny looks at her like, you got a lot of nerve. And so Haley walks right in and she says something about, oh, I just wanted you to be the first to know that Bill and we got back from our honeymoon early. We just arrived a few minutes ago, and I didn't want you to be surprised. Although you're probably surprised with me just walking into your house uninvited. And Danny's just looking at her. She said, just like I know you was in my house uninvited. She says, you drank my wine and you messed up my wedding picture. And she says, you know what? And Danny looked at her. She goes, I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, oh, you know what I'm talking about. She says, and I'm going to tell you right now, Danny, you ever come near my house again, I'm going to get a restraining order against you. So if you do, you're going to get arrested. She says, and this time, I'm definitely going to make sure the charges stick. They won't be dropped. She said, so I'm just putting you on notice. And Danny just looks at her. And so actually, Danny had a picture of one of the magazine covers she had done when she was young. It was laying on her coffee table. And Nicole picked it up. She goes, you really did look good back in the day. And she held the frame up and she let it drop and it broke when it hit the ground. And Haley says, what the? She goes, oh, oops. And that's when she went on, telling Danny she knew she was in her house. She broke her, that must have broke the glass in her way, whatever. She went through that whole conversation that I just went through. So now when Haley leaves, Danny's keeping a straight face. Haley leaves and Danny goes, like, uh-oh. I wasn't expecting them to come back so fast. And how close she was to getting busted. So Danny's getting ready to pour her a nice, stiff, hard drink. And she looks at her phone and she goes, it's that time again. You know where I'm at. And hangs up. So you knew she was calling Andre. Now, this is how those two are not going to last. Is she's using Andre, for one, just for revenge sex. But for two, somebody to talk down to, right? There's no, you know how when you just get in a relationship, you having good hot passionate sex, and you still you talk nice to each other, and you flirt. She's just letting them know, you come when I tell you to come, and you stay away when I tell you to stay away, and you get up out of my bed when I tell you to get up out of my bed, and then don't call me in between, because it ain't never gonna happen again unless I say it's gonna happen again, and unless I call you. But those kind of relationships will never ever last, ever, because she will borderline be very disrespectful to him. So they start kissing on her couch, but then Andre kind of looks away and she goes, bad day? And he goes, bad day. And he goes, what about you? And she said, I had a bad day as well. So there, she's just leaning on him now, thinking about Bill. And he's kissing the side of her head, thinking about Ashley. That's exactly what that's about. So I do believe that is it. That is definitely. One little point. Now, when Eva was getting ready to leave Nicole's house, her phone rings and they showed the face of her phone and it said mom, and it has Dana/Leslie/Sherry's picture on it. Don't you all see that as a mistake? Because guess what? That phone is going to ring another time, and Kat's going to either see it, or Ted is going to see it, or Nicole is going to see it. And it says mom. Soon as they showed that on camera, I said, uh-oh, that's about to happen. You could just see it right off. That's 100% going to happen. So anyway, everybody, let's go to comment corner, and let's whiz through a few of these comments here. Here we go. Okay, we have Denzel. I'm gonna read a paragraph of yours. Denzel says, Danny, at this point, it's just pissing me off. Her not getting over Bill because he married Haley, then headed to their house, ended up drunk. Two, and then George, the security cop, or WE, lied to both Anita and Vernon about Danny having a meeting. Yeah, George definitely needs to get fired. Yep, shaking my head. This whole obsession with Andre, that Andre has with Ashley, and then trying to kiss her. I was glad Ashley uh, called him out and told him she has a boyfriend named Derek. Like Andre better get out of here with that obsession with Ashley. This is creepy, uh, with his creepy self. Great review, daily recaps as always. And then uh Days in Salem says, if you guys are familiar with another soap, Days of Our Lives, Danny is known as Christian, obsessed with one man and one man only. Uh, Girl, calm down. Bill ain't that into you anymore. Nope, he's not. Doris says, but Daily Recap Lady, as a younger generation would say, Danny's body is banging. I didn't say nothing about her body not being banging, but what she's wearing is, in my opinion, not quite age appropriate. You know, I, that's something her daughter, I mean, something Cat would wear. Not even Chelsea really wears stuff like that. And then Jess K says, obviously, absolutely agree, Daily Recap Lady. I felt for Danny in the beginning, but now I'm over it. I'm hoping she gets caught and charged. Um, charges will be pressed against her. No excuses for her to be in their house. The girl needs help. I'm over her character. I don't know why Andre wants Ashley. She's boring. They remind me of Drew and Willow when Drew was stalking Ashley wherever she went. I mean, not Ashley, Willow, wherever she went. It isn't cute. At least she stopped Andre from kissing, from that kiss. Hopefully she told Andre now and to bug off and tell Derek what happened. Well, she didn't tell Derek what happened, right? She sure didn't, but definitely. And there was something else I want to say. Hopefully it pops back in my head. Um, so it was a good little comment. Karen says Danny needs to just stop. Ain't no man that good. His member must be made of gold. And I was hoping that the dinner would continue so Smitty could find out what Martin did. Yeah, was sabotaging the job. Oh, one thing, guys, you guys notice something's going on with their son, Tyree? Yeah, something's happening with him, and it ain't no geometry. Love your nod to This Is Us. I understand what you're saying, but when you saw the old lady, you kind of understood why he did it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then Days in Salem says, not his member must be made of gold. He ain't King Midas. Because if he was, Danny frozen would have been frozen in solid gold and not have Naomi or Chelsea with him. Yeah, that's true. And then we have Black Purple Turquoise says Danny is definitely working my nerves and continuing to show how obsessed with Bill she is, just like he is likely obsessed with her. However, I will see, wait, I will say, I love the look that the Shamilton's security, uh, to be hilarious. That look, George, when she told him there was a bomb in the package. Yeah. She bought them a wedding gift and said afterwards, I'm just kidding. And then that was the good one. But in all seriousness, she's going to need to stop going over there and getting underneath their skin as much as they deserve it. It only makes her mental health worse and costing her so much more than she'll ever be able to truly realize. If someone doesn't get her to another certified therapist couch soon, other than Nicole's, Danny will be very liable to explode and ruin her life. Yep, I believe that. And then it'll be too late for anyone to her or stop her for her, to stop herself. Wait, to stop herself should it come down to it. Well, she can't stop herself on nothing. After she does all the dirt, she goes, what was I thinking? No, I don't buy that. And then Lucy says, happy Friday, BTG fans and Daily Recap Lady. Happy Friday, Lucy. Happy Friday. All right, everybody, that's it for Comment Corner. Comment Corner. I'll be back tomorrow with another daily recap of Beyond the Gates.